Member for Mornington.
Acting Speaker, my adjournment matter is for the Minister for Housing and Building. The action I seek is for the Minister to provide an update on any crisis accommodation they plan to build on the Peninsula and support they are given for the 11 residents at risk of homelessness after the impending closure of the Mornington Peninsula's Crisis Accommodation Centre, The Ranch. The Ranch in Mornington has provided crisis accommodation for vulnerable locals for years through the long-term temporary donation of the site and the work of Mornington Community Support Centre and many others. It is operated without government funding and now is set to close on the 17th of April for redevelopment. That means 11 people who have already experienced homelessness are staring down the possibility of ending back in their cars, in tents, on the foreshore or elsewhere, amongst the hundreds of others already in that situation on the Peninsula. There is nowhere obvious for these people to go. Ranch 2.0, the replacement crisis accommodation model set up by Mornington Community Support Centre on the Peninsula, consists of just 7 units and is already full. So when the ranch closes, the Peninsula loses a critical safety net in a community already under enormous pressure. On any given night, the Shire says that there are more than 100 people sleeping rough on the foreshore and in reserves. Now, the Mornington Peninsula has more people sleeping rough than any other Victorian local government area. The latest data in January 26 shows that there were 138 people sleeping rough in tents, car shores and foreshore reserves. This is happening in a region with approximately 1,300 existing public housing dwellings, but over 2,600 people on the applicant waiting list. That is part of the 65,000 across Victoria who are on the waiting list for public housing and more than 30,000 people who are on the priority waiting list. That is simply not good enough. We need more and more investment on the Peninsula, both in public housing, crisis accommodation and more. And we need more support for our community support centres, like the Peninsula's 3 independently funded support centres, like the Community Support Frankston as well, which I note the member for Frankston looks after, Mornington Community Support Centre, the Southern Peninsula Community Support and so many others. These centres are doing such great work but are feeling more and more pressure day by day, and locals are in effect being told to make do with less. This government's response has simply not matched the scale of need on the ground. These are not just numbers. These are people with names, histories and nowhere else to go. The Minister must do something to ensure that the Mornington Peninsula is not left with grossly inadequate crisis accommodation in the middle of a homelessness crisis. We need investment and we need investment now.